Hi friends, I have a special show lined up for you today with 4 conversations you will be talking about long after our time together is done. To kick things off, I'm sitting down with Mignon Francois, founder of the Cupcake Collection, to learn about their newest location in Nashville and the faith that fuels her business. Next, I'm talking with Helen Smallbone, mother of 6, including Joel and Luke Smallbone of the multi-GRAMMY winning duo for King and Country, about their new biopic inspired by her family's incredible story. Then I'm teaching you how to protect your biggest investment before the blazing heat of summer hits, while also saving on next year's taxes. Finally, I couldn't think of a better way to end the show than with the artist Plumb, who's not only like a sister to me, but has an announcement about her new album that's been 25 years in the making. So let's get to it. This is the Sami Cone Show.
From the News Channel 5 Network, this is the Sami Cone Show.
My first guest is the director of Joy and the founder of the multi-million-dollar Cupcake Collection, Mignon Francois. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for letting me be here with you.
Are you kidding me? Well, first of all, cupcakes arrived, so that's always good. I can't imagine someone not knowing your story, but can you just give our audience a little glimpse of really, rags to riches is not even the right thing. It was really just a mother's need to support her family that happened that led to all this sweetness.
Yeah, so we were drowning in debt and brokenness, losing everything that we had. When the man on the radio was saying you could get out of debt by having a bake sale or a garage sale, problem with garage sales, I sold everything I had to get to Nashville. And with the bake sale, I didn't know how to bake, not even out of a box. But I'm a testament to every stupid thing that you've ever had to do is taking you from where you are to where it is that you want to be. And it was in my kitchen 17 years after leaving Xavier University in New Orleans that I was able to apply the science that I couldn't apply to the human body, to flour, butter, sugar, and eggs, and a recipe was born. Since then, we've been voted as the best cake in Tennessee. We have reigned as voted the best in Nashville, and we rank in the top 10 in the nation as we ship our cupcakes nationwide.
Which doesn't surprise me, and I say that only because I'm not, people that know, I'm not a cake person, and I tell every person that steps into Nashville, you have to go to the Cupcake Collection. The strawberry is my favorite, by the way. But you're not, some may see you as it's like overnight success. It took you, and there were a lot of failures along the way, but I know that you don't see failure as failure.
Yes.
How do you reframe that positivity into propelling you to success, and how do you translate that, especially for other young women?
I believe that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That means all things, all the time. So that means that no matter what it looks like, this is working out for me. That all of these things are lessons. And if I can look for the lesson, I can learn something from it. And so it becomes not a mistake, but necessary. I heard Fantasia sing it like it was just necessary.
And you pour into young women in particular. I mean, we had, in addition to your own children that work for you and you know, children that are not biological children that have come along, what is it that you hope to teach them, or maybe what is it that you hope that they walk away with when they go on to do their own things?
I hope that they know that I am not their boss, I am their client, that they are in the business of one. And what I teach my team is that you are in the business of your own labor. And so that gives them ownership in my business. And so as they're serving, because when we serve, that's how we grow. As they're serving their client, me, the Cupcake Collection, it causes something else to come back to them. So I'm making sure that they climb the ladder of success in safety, and I'm holding on to that thing, making sure that they don't fall.
I love that you frame it that way. And okay, we've got to get to the cupcakes. I was going to say more, but I'm like, we're salivating over here. You were saying this is your favorite collection yet, and by the way, best-selling author, made from scratch, which
as a freshman author, right?
Which is as someone that has a book, that's unheard of. So not surprising, but congratulations.
Thank you.
But talk me through, so I don't just talk about your strawberry cupcakes. Why is this your favorite collection so far?
Well, first of all, because it features the coconut cream cupcake. It is the thing that my grandmother would make at a drop of a hat. If I called and said I was on my way, she would pull out the flour and make me a coconut cake. I love coconut cake, but I think that this whole lineup for this season is representation of the season that we're in. I love the fruits, the strawberries, the key limes, just everything about it is so fresh, and we make everything fresh daily from scratch. The frostings, the fillings, the cakes. And so this just, to me, it captures spring in a cake.
And the love and the joy, which is what's, I mean, when you get a strawberry cupcake, you see strawberries
Yes.
in the cup. It's not fluorescent pink,
Right.
it's pink from
It's
the strawberries.
pink like that because of all the strawberries.
Exactly. So, okay, so now people are going to want to know where to go. You now have 4 locations.
Yes.
And Hendersonville didn't open that long ago. Lennox Village, southeast Nashville, which is closer to me, so I'm very excited. And the Joy-Mobile.
Yes.
So
we bring joy directly to wherever you are, right?
That's
so we don't just make cupcakes, we also make cakes, wedding cakes, celebration cakes, and just because cakes.
So glad you said that.
But we're in Germantown in North Nashville on 6th Avenue North. We're in Lennox Village on Nolensville Road, and then we're in Hendersonville on Main Street. And then, of course, the Joy-Mobile goes around Nashville, sprinkling joy.
Well, there you okay, we're not going to keep you any longer. Go to the Cupcake Collection. I'll let you try something other than the strawberry. It's okay. But please promise the sweet potato. I mean, you still have all the good, you know, your
sweet potato is our #1 seller.
It's your #1 seller.
Yeah,
so.
we always say if you ever meet another sweet potato, it wants to be this one.
Yes, it does. Mignon, thank you so much for being here. Go visit the Cupcake Collection at all the locations. Pick up made from scratch and just add a little more joy to your life. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Good
Sami.
to see you. Can you imagine leaving everything you knew in your homeland to fly halfway around the world with your 6 kids, pregnant with the 7th, and nothing except your suitcases? Well, that's exactly what my next guest did. And there's a way to learn how the story unfolded in a really unique way. Helen Smallbone, thank you for joining us
Thanks,
on the
Sami,
Sami
for
Cone
having
Show.
us.
Absolutely. Okay, so spoiler alert, you're here. You're the mother of 7 amazing kids, but notably some Grammy Award winners. You've got Rebecca St. James, the brothers of For King and Country, Joel and Luke.
Yep.
And now there's a story about your lives. Can you just, what does this mean to all of you right now, and why now to tell this story?
Why now? That's a good question. I think we've been telling parts of our story. We had a very dramatic story. We're Australian by birth,
Right.
but 32 years ago, we lost everything, had to make major life change, came here to America looking for a new job. How many immigrants do that anyway,
Right.
looking for a new life?
Right.
We were pretty crazy because, as you said, had 6 kids, pregnant with number 7. We've told elements of our story a lot, and people always say, "Oh gosh, you need to write a book." And I actually was. I did do that a couple of years ago, but it still continued. And then one of our sons, Luke, who's in For King Country, he told a lot of our story each concert as a part of his compassion talk with Compassion as Child Sponsorship. And in doing it, people were like, "Gosh, you need to write a book." I mean, they're pretty incredible stories.
They are.
And so he thought, it's time maybe we actually go one better and make a movie.
And not only did you make a movie, I mean, this, again, no spoilers, you have a very talented family that not just from, you know, on the stage, but behind the scenes, lighting, directing. Joel actually co-wrote and directed this movie.
Yep. And played David.
And played, yes, and played your, what was that like to watch your son play your husband? Can we talk about that?
Pretty crazy. He had a photo of David holding our 3-year-old son that he took the imaging of, so he has a beard and his hair's much done the same. So he looks different to what he does in For King Country, which is good. But it definitely was a challenge to see. I didn't realise even that he looked like David, but he actually does play him quite well.
Very well, from my perspective, I mean, the movie is phenomenal. We'll talk about that in just a second, but Mom to Mom, we were talking a little bit before we started rolling, but how do you have the strength when I mean, like, I'm going to come to tears thinking about it when I think about that playground scene in particular, and for you to have to hold all those emotions. By the grace of God, I understand, but there's still a human element to being able to look your children in the eye and say, "We've got this," and believe it. Where did you draw that from?
Probably, I mean, definitely as the foundation of God. We couldn't have done this journey if we did not know that He was with us, that He was walking it, that this was His plan, that He was opening opportunities. And then secondly, we had each other. And we are a large family.
Yes,
there was a lot of us to be had. And I think a lot of times in our weaknesses, actually kids can say the right thing. They can they can love on you and help you believe in yourself even more. And we were a unit. Like David wanted the kids to go to school when we got here. the school year had already started because we didn't get settled in Nashville till September. And I just said, David, I can't do it. I have to have them with me. And in doing that, that was a part of the strength that we had, because everything else had been taken away.
Right,
all
literally.
our family, all our friends,
All
we
your
had
things,
nothing,
I
all
mean.
our stuff. So it was definitely a new start.
It's incredible. I mean, there's so many stories within the story I would like to get to, but something that's unique is that there's also an album that's being released alongside the movie, I think inspired by, right, the soundtrack.
Inspired by.
I mean, Michael W. Smith plays in his roles being, so there's really this throwback not only to when Rebecca first came on the scene, but also to have the brothers of For King and Country do these. What was that like to hear the juxtaposition of that music?
I think to see the influences of music on them over those years has been special. We were in Christian music back in Australia.
Right.
So David's been in Christian music since '77. That was the first time Rebecca, as a babe in arms, went to her first concert in the Sydney Opera House, and it was a Larry Norman concert. So we've definitely done the gamut of Christian music. And one of my memories is actually Joel as a toddler at 2 or 3 in the living room on the floor staring at the Striper To Hell With the Devil cover and the was the Command one, the yellow and black stripe one. He was just staring because they had such visual covers, and he was just, it was so now they're doing To Hell With the Devil as part of one of their songs, and I'm
It's
just like,
surreal. Well, again, there's so many stories we wish we could tell. Make sure that you see Unsung Hero, the movie, on April 26th. Get the soundtrack as well. Helen Smallbone, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yes. Well, with the cooler weather seemingly behind us, we know that that gripping heat of Tennessee is right around the corner. That's why I've asked my next guest, Brandon Beachy of Koala Insulation, to talk to us about how to not only save on our energy bills, but to help us with our taxes next year. Welcome, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'll be totally honest. I did a ton of research, read all the reviews before I invested, because this is a big investment when we're talking about home insulation, and you guys rose to the top every time. Why is that kind of customer service piece so important to you? And tell me what happens in that free, first time consultation and evaluation.
Yeah, so we are a customer service business first and foremost. We just do insulation. That's our product. But yeah, we try to treat everyone as we would ourselves and our family, and using those goals in mind as we go through that consult, like you mentioned. And yeah, that consult, the first thing that we're going to do when we come out is we're going to listen to you. We're going to figure out what is going on in your home and what you're feeling and why we're in your home to begin with.
Yeah, and can I say too, one of the things that impressed me the most is that I think I came to you and I want the spray foam insulation, and you're like, well, that's good. It's not always the best for every home. Why, if that's such a high industry standard, why is that not always the best choice?
Yeah, well, this is something that we see all the time, right? We've got Google at our fingertips now, so you know.
I'm an expert.
Well, hey, what's the best of this or that? Well, there's a lot of context that goes into it.
Yeah.
Spray foam has a higher R value per inch, so it gets labeled the best, and it is the best for certain applications. For an existing home, not always the case, but that's what we go over with you. Like, what are your goals? Like, if you are going to be there for 15 to 20 years, then maybe doing a retrofit of spray foam is the right thing for you. But there's a lot of other considerations that have to go into that. We're talking, I like to speak in, anecdotes. Like imagine, you've got a Yeti cooler.
Yeah.
You clean it, you put it away for 6 months, you get it out. It's clean when you open it. You don't clean it so well, you put it away for 6 months, you get it out, you open it, you get a Petri dish in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing with your attic when you spray foam it, is you're encapsulating it, and it's now airtight, and it's not breathing the way it used to. So if you're doing it on a new build, awesome, no issues. On an existing home, there's a lot of other things to take into consideration.
Speaking of, and that was one of the things that I really appreciate, is that they kind of went up, and I was able to say, here's some really hot spots in our home, here's some really cold spots. Your guys are able to find where there was just no insulation that had been left out, and to suggest solar attic fans. And we need to talk about that, because I didn't realize the importance of those, both in terms of keeping the attic cool, but also in terms of the tax savings. Yeah.
So the first part of that, your home efficiency is is kind of a two-pronged approach, right? The insulation works hand in hand with the ventilation, and in our market here, the air's kind of stagnant, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the ridge vents, you've got the air coming in, but it just sits.
Yeah.
You know, there's some studies that'll show, you know, in the heat of the day, it could be a 30, 40 degree difference between having just a ridge vent and having a solar attic fan. Now, what we do, it's a powered fan, right? So it's sucking the air out. We're making sure you've got enough intake coming in through your soffits, those little, you know, hole things under your gutters that you probably didn't notice before. It's letting air in there, and now we're powered pulling it out of there.
Yeah.
And there's two things that, you know, detractors will say to that, and they're valid, right? Is if you don't have enough air flowing in or a sealed up attic, it's going to pull from your living space.
Right.
So that's why we're making sure you've got enough insulation in there, sealing up that attic access.
Right, and that was the other thing that surprised me, was that I didn't realize how much energy I was losing by not covering both the pull down access that we have and the door that we had going into it. And you have, you know, we'll let people find out what those are, but that, can I just say, in the couple of weeks that I've had this done, we had obviously spring weather here. It goes from really cold to really hot. And I had left the heat on one morning and had come back and it was like 77 outside. I'm like, oh, it's going to be sweltering because that's how hot my house gets. It was perfect. And so I've noticed such a difference in just having those solar attic fans, all those things. And can I also say, the guys, they cleaned up. They asked if they wanted to shoot, just little things that I feel like is missing in customer service today. So before we wrap up, if there's something that you would, you know, say to our audience about why it's important for them to have that evaluation, what would it be?
Well, there's no risk, right? So we're not charging you to come out there. We're evaluating, and we're going to go over your options. You know, for every budget, for your goals, we're going to find the solution for you. And there's, you know, there's some incredible tax savings too. You know, through the IRA bill now, you can get, you know, 30% off of all your insulation needs up to $1,200 in your home.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're talking about a 30% tax savings in some ways, you know, based on the cost of what they're paying for the insulation, your monthly energy bills, it's really incredible. Brandon Beachy, Koala Insulation, please check them out. I could not be happier. Thank you for being on the Sami Cone
Thanks
Show
for
today.
having me.
Absolutely. Stepping into a new season can be scary, but my next guest is not only reinventing herself, but reimagining one of her most popular albums from 25 years ago. Please welcome my sister, Tiffany Lee, aka Plumb, to the show.
Hello.
Hello. Okay,
Hey.
it's not really sisters, if you couldn't tell.
We are chosen sisters.
Chosen sisters, and you have had an incredible career, but it's been 6 years since your last album, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so what is happening that maybe had you take a little time off, and why are you coming back now?
Thank you for asking.
You're so welcome.
So I went through a very unexpected, very traumatic divorce, and that sort of took me out sort of like a little bit of a wrecking ball to my life, and most of what I had sort of built with trust and so much a part of my career was a part of that as well, just kind of got taken out. And in the process, this past October, not that long ago, I just happened to stumble upon the fact that I would say my most popular, like, fans' favorite album will turn 25 tomorrow.
Which is hard because we're only 29, so it's hard to believe.
How is that possible? And that is where I remember leaving off as an independent, strong woman, and in the process did not realize that I had just sort of given all my power away. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to where I left off and reclaim that, and not from a place of victim, but as a fighter.
Yeah.
And so this has been really good.
I love that you're doing that, because it would be really easy to be like, that was my past, I don't want to revisit that at all. And instead, you're literally, the new album is called Candy Coated Water Drops Reimagined.
Reimagined, yep.
And so there's some certain tweaks that you were very insistent on making. There were certain things that you were intentional to leave off.
Right.
How did it feel to revisit that and make those artistic choices?
Really empowering.
Good.
And it was an opportunity, like you said, to kind of go back and take the authenticity of what's there, the integrity of the songs still, wanting to maintain that, while at the same time incorporating what I've learned in 25 years, even if it's just changing a pronoun, or if it was just changing a little bit of a title to tweak it, or to leave a track off. I left a track off. So.
Yeah, and I think as women that we've both been through divorce,
Yes.
it can be easy to want to hide. And I think there's always a time for reflection and needing to really look within. But you've also seen the power of what it takes to stand back up on stage, to speak out. Where did you draw that power from?
Oh man, I have to give so much credit to community. I mean, I believe very strongly in God, and at the same time, the creation around, like the social capital that I feel like has been around me, that has been used to hold me up when I have been flattened out, and you are absolutely one of those.
Thank you.
And so just this is important to me, even right here.
Yeah.
And so I think to accomplish this with the help of everyone around you, while at the same time, there's a big component that I did this myself. I'm doing this independently, and so that's been good for me and the community around me to be supporting, and that's been really powerful.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm trying to hold it together right now because there's, but it's important to have both. It's important to have the people that you trust, that you can be completely vulnerable with.
Yep.
And it's important to know like who to trust in those moments, what to share with your children,
Right.
what doesn't need to be shared. What would you say to, I would say the woman in particular that's struggling, that feels like no one else is going through what she's going through, and yet we all know there's nothing new under the sun. How would you encourage that woman right now?
Well, I told myself every day, keep breathing in and out, put one foot in front of the other, and try to do the next right thing. And when you completely screw up what you're going to, begin again. And you gave me something that is hanging on my wall when I wake up every morning, and it says it's going to be okay. And just remind yourself of that, because ultimately it is.
Yeah, it takes those simple things sometimes just to get to that next step, right?
Yeah.
To keep going and to be vulnerable. Have those, like I said, those people you're vulnerable with. I imagine there's going to be chances for people to be able to see you
Yes.
perform now. Here, tell us about how people can access the album and all those good things.
So the album comes out tomorrow. You can get it on any platform that you would find music anywhere: Spotify, iTunes, all the things. I'm on social media, Plumb Music. Plum is spelled with a B.
Yes,
and
very important.
so social media and any and every opportunity that makes sense for me to be out and about live, I will. But this has been a success for me already, because it's an opportunity where I took back my power, and that has been good for me. And so it's already so just join the party where it's just already a good thing. And so I hope it can be an encouragement to someone else, like it's been for my own self.
Say, I love, you're not sending out a prescription. You're saying, this is how I've done it, this is where I've come from, and this is where we want to go.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you
just give yourself grace, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh,
sis.
we could obviously talk a lot, but make sure you check out Candy Coated Water Drops Reimagined. Thank you, Plum, for being here.
you.
I want to thank all of my guests for joining me on the Sami Cohn Show today. Goodness, if you could just take one thing away, it's worth it. I want to make sure you have a great day. Make sure you make it great, and do not wait to tell someone you love how you feel about them. Bye, friends.